Sarah had always been a dreamer. Growing up in Kenya, she saw the hardships her family faced and promised herself she would one day change her story. She worked hard in school, studied computer skills, and later found an opportunity to travel abroad for work. It wasn't glamorous. She cleaned offices, worked long shifts, and sometimes even cried herself to sleep from exhaustion. But she kept pushing forward because she knew this was her chance to build a better future for herself and those she loved. Living abroad was lonely. She missed home, her family, and the comfort of hearing her mother's voice every day. There were nights when silence filled her apartment, and she longed for someone to talk to, someone who would understand her, laugh with her, and make her feel alive again. It was during one of these quiet evenings, while scrolling through social media, that her life changed. She received a message from a man named Daniel. His profile showed a tall, handsome Nigerian with a bright smile that radiated confidence. At first, Sarah hesitated. She wasn't the type to trust strangers online, but something about his message was different. It was respectful, warm, and genuine. He asked about her day, her work, and her dreams. She replied casually, thinking it would end there, but the conversation flowed effortlessly. From that night they began chatting daily. What started as short conversations turned into hours of laughter, confessions, and late-night talks. Daniel had a way of making her feel special. He would send her long messages telling her how proud he was of her strength to live abroad alone, how beautiful she was, and how much he wanted to meet her in person. His words melted her heart. For the first time in a long time, Sarah felt alive. Weeks turned into months. Their bond deepened. He shared his dreams of becoming a successful businessman, of owning properties, of having a strong family. She told him about her struggles, her hopes, and her loneliness. He promised to always be there for her, to protect her, and to love her unconditionally. Soon, Sarah realized she was falling in love. One night during a video call, Daniel looked at her with serious eyes and said, "Sarah, I don't just want to be a man you talk to online. I want to be the man standing by your side every day." Her heart skipped. That was the moment she knew she wanted him with her. It wasn't easy, but she decided to take the risk. She arranged for Daniel to come to America. She wanted their love to be more than just calls and texts. She wanted to feel his arms around her, hear his heartbeat, and kiss him without a screen between them. The day he arrived was unforgettable. Sarah stood at the airport, her hands trembling with excitement. When she saw him walking toward her, tall and striking, her heart leapt. Daniel smiled, dropped his bag, and pulled her into the tightest embrace. They held each other for what felt like forever. Their lips met in a passionate kiss, one that erased all the months of distance. She knew she had made the right choice. Living together was magical. Daniel was attentive, romantic, and full of energy. They cooked together, laughed over silly jokes, and spent long nights exploring each other's hearts and bodies. Their passion was intense. He knew how to touch her, how to whisper sweet words in her ear, and how to make her feel like the most desired woman in the world. They made love often, their bodies entangled in fiery desire, their whispers filling the room. Sarah would fall asleep in his arms, her head on his chest, feeling safe and loved. They hustled together, working hard, saving money, and dreaming of building businesses. Daniel was ambitious, and Sarah admired his determination. Soon they started a small business, then another. Their income grew steadily, and within a short time they were more stable than Sarah had ever imagined. They became a power couple, admired by friends and community. People looked at them and said, "Those two are unstoppable." Then came the wedding. Daniel proposed to her one evening after a romantic dinner. He knelt down, holding out a ring, his eyes shining with emotion. "Sarah, you are my everything. I want to spend the rest of my life proving my love for you. Will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "Yes." Their wedding was beautiful. Sarah wore a flowing white gown, her smile radiant as she walked down the aisle. Daniel looked at her like she was a goddess. They exchanged vows, promising to love each other forever. Their kiss at the altar was passionate, sealing their union. The reception was full of music, dancing, and joy. That night in their hotel suite, they made love with a passion deeper than ever before. Every kiss, every touch was filled with promises of forever. Married life felt perfect. They worked as a team, built their businesses further, and enjoyed the fruits of their labor. They traveled together, bought a beautiful home, and lived the dream. Sarah often thanked God for blessing her with Daniel. She believed she had found the man of her destiny. But then things began to change. Daniel started traveling back to Nigeria frequently. At first he explained it was for business matters, partnerships, investments, property deals. Sarah trusted him, so she didn't question much, but slowly she noticed things that didn't add up. He stayed longer each time, sometimes weeks. When he returned, he was distant, distracted, and often avoided deep conversations. One evening, Sarah lay awake in bed while Daniel scrolled on his phone, facing away from her. She reached out and touched his back gently. "Daniel, is everything okay? You've been so far away lately, even when you're here." He turned, forced a smile, and kissed her forehead. "It's nothing, love, just business stress. You know I'm doing this for us." She nodded, but her heart felt uneasy. Something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Trips became more frequent, and each time Daniel returned, Sarah felt him slipping further away. She still loved him, still longed for his passion, but sometimes when she looked into his eyes, she saw secrets. Sarah tried to push away her doubts, but deep inside, a storm was brewing. Sarah's unease grew heavier with every trip Daniel took. At first she told herself it was just business. She repeated his words in her mind, "I'm doing this for us." But her heart wasn't convinced. Nights felt longer without him. She would roll over in their bed, stretch out her hand, and touch nothing but empty sheets. One evening, as she sat in the living room with a cup of tea, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and frowned. It was Timothy, Daniel's close friend. She hesitated before picking up. "Hello," she said softly. "Sarah, I need to talk to you." Timothy's voice was calm but serious. Her stomach tightened. "Is everything okay? Is it Daniel?" Timothy paused. "Sarah, I don't want to hurt you, but you deserve to know the truth. Daniel, he has another woman in Nigeria. He's not just visiting for business. He's planning to marry her." The words hit her like a storm. Sarah felt her world shatter. Her chest ached, her eyes burned, and her cup slipped from her hands, spilling tea on the carpet. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "No, Timothy, you must be mistaken. He wouldn't do that to me." "I wish I was mistaken," Timothy said gently. "But I've seen it myself. I couldn't keep it from you any longer. You deserve better." Sarah hung up and broke into tears. She cried until her chest hurt, until her throat went raw. The man she gave everything to, the man she loved more than life itself, was betraying her. All their passion, their vows, their dreams, had it all been a lie? When Daniel returned a few weeks later, Sarah tried to look into his eyes, but she saw only shadows. He kissed her, but it felt hollow. He held her, but she felt nothing. She wanted to scream, to confront him, but her heart was too heavy. Instead, she pretended everything was fine, while inside she was breaking into pieces. Timothy began checking in on her more often. He would call, sometimes pass by to help her with errands, or simply sit with her when she couldn't stop crying. His presence was calming, a light in her darkest time. He listened without judgment, offered comfort, and reminded her that she was worthy of love. One evening, Sarah sat on her balcony, staring at the city lights. Timothy joined her, bringing 2 cups of hot chocolate. She took a sip, her hands trembling. "I feel so stupid," she whispered. "I gave him everything, I believed him, and now," tears rolled down her cheeks. Timothy gently reached over and wiped her tears. "You're not stupid, Sarah. You're human. You loved him with all your heart. That's not weakness, that's strength. It shows the kind of woman you are." His words touched her. She looked into his eyes, and for the first time she noticed something there. A softness, a longing. Her heart skipped, and before she knew it, Timothy leaned in. His lips brushed hers gently, testing her. She froze at first, but then her body responded. The kiss deepened, passionate and urgent, as if it had been waiting for this moment. When they finally pulled apart, Sarah's breath was shaky. "Timothy, we can't." "I know," he whispered, cupping her face. "But I can't hide it anymore. I care about you, Sarah, more than I should." That night she couldn't sleep. The kiss replayed in her mind again and again. She thought of Daniel, far away in Nigeria, probably lying in another woman's arms. The pain of betrayal pushed her closer to Timothy. Days later it happened again. This time Sarah didn't hold back. They were sitting in her living room, a storm raging outside. Timothy pulled her into his arms, and their lips met hungrily. Their bodies responded, urgent and desperate. Clothes fell away, and they found themselves tangled on the sofa, exploring each other with passion. Sarah felt alive again, desired, cherished. Every touch from Timothy erased Daniel's betrayal. Every kiss reminded her she was still worthy of love. Their affair blossomed quickly. It wasn't just passion, it was emotional, deep and healing. Timothy treated her like a queen, holding her after their lovemaking, whispering how much he adored her, how he wanted to build a future with her. Meanwhile, Daniel continued his secret trips. He thought Sarah was oblivious, but she was one step ahead now. She knew his game, and she was planning her own. When Sarah heard that Daniel was arranging his wedding in Nigeria, she made her decision. She would not sit back and be humiliated. She and Timothy flew to Nigeria quietly, and together they planned their own wedding on the same day at the same hour. Sarah made sure their wedding would be big, colourful, and streamed live. She wanted Daniel to see. On the morning of her wedding, Sarah looked at herself in the mirror. She wore a gown even more stunning than the one she had worn with Daniel. Her eyes sparkled, her smile radiant. Timothy came in dressed sharply in a white suit. He looked at her as if she was his entire world. "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen," he whispered, kissing her hand. As music filled the hall, Sarah walked down the aisle with confidence. Guests clapped, cameras flashed, and the live stream captured every moment. Timothy stood at the altar, his eyes never leaving hers. When they exchanged vows, Sarah felt a freedom she hadn't felt in years.
Welcome aboard,
when they
you
kissed,
two.
the hall erupted with cheers. Meanwhile, across town, Daniel stood at his own wedding, moments away from saying, "I do"
Welcome
to another
aboard,
woman.
you two.
A guest pulled out their phone and showed him Sarah's live-streamed wedding. Daniel's face drained of color. His hands shook, his chest heaved. He called Sarah, his voice trembling with rage and desperation. "Why are you doing this to me?" he shouted into the phone. Sarah's voice was calm, steady. "I'm doing what you are doing, Daniel." The words cut him like a knife. The stress and shock overwhelmed him. In front of everyone, Daniel collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital, and doctors confirmed he had suffered a stroke, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. Sarah, on the other hand, danced with Timothy at their reception, joy radiating from her. She had taken back her power. She had reclaimed her life. When they returned to America, Sarah and Timothy built a new life together. Their love was passionate, their bond unshakable. Timothy treated her children like treasures when they arrived, 4 in total, 2 boys and 2 girls. Their home was filled with laughter, the sound of little feet running through the halls, and the warmth of a family built on love and resilience. Sarah sometimes thought of Daniel, lying in his bed, helpless. She felt pity but not regret. He had betrayed her, broken her trust, and lost her. Life had given her a second chance, and she wasn't going to waste it. Timothy would often pull her close at night, kissing her deeply, whispering, "You're my everything, Sarah. I'll never let you go." She would smile, kiss him back, and rest in his arms. This time she knew it was real. Her journey from heartbreak to happiness was long, painful, but ultimately worth it. She had discovered her strength, found true love, and built a family that filled her